This is Duilio Tacconi, and I'm Escalation Engineer in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Customer Support and Services. In this session, we will explore and connect the dots on how to make a proficient use of telemetry emitted by Dynamics 365 Business Central using Application Insights, Azure Data Studio, Python language, and Jupyter notebooks. This will be the spicy ingredients of the session menu. Based on these ingredients, we will start with an overview of what is Azure Application Insights, as known as App Insights, and what might offer you out of the box in terms of troubleshooting and observability features. Then we will double check how super easy is configuring Dynamics 365 Business Central SaaS environment to send telemetry tracers over to App Insights. Once we've been familiar on this powerful analysis suite, we will add more flavors and overall arrows in our troubleshooting keyword, Azure Data Studio and Jupyter notebooks. Within Jupyter notebooks, we will end our journey by checking different troubleshooting guides, as known as TSGs, and how to use them proficiently in our daily work together with the App Insight features. Okay, let's give this a good start by defining what is App Insights and remarking some relevant points. App Insights is part of vast and comprehensive platform named Azure Monitor. Within the Azure Monitor umbrella, different data sources might generate and send over telemetry data. Example of data sources might be an operating system that is sending a snapshot of resources, such as processor usage or memory consumption, as well as signals coming from other web application or third-party Azure resources. These are data sources. In other words, where the data are expected to come from. Telemetry data might be categorized into metrics and logs. Within Dynamics 365 Business Central, we are focusing on relevant data, and those are considered logs. Once log past the gates of Azure Monitor, this could be processed through Application Insights directly, using one or typically more of the first classes features that can be used out of the box, or these logs could then be consumed as APIs by other applications to have a better and visual monitoring experience. But what kind of results typically you might obtain throughout App Insights and telemetry data? First, you could check the availability of your data source. For example, you might want to monitor sessions and session-related signals, successful logon, unsuccessful denied logon. Second, the overall performance or a performance compared to a baseline of your application or a specific business process, or even into any single extension. Last but not least, what it might be typically known as application observability, you might want to know the usage of your application, such as how many times a report has been executed, what is the funnel, it is step-by-step process from A to B for a specific page or reverse side for a specific user in a specific time frame. Now that we know a bit more of App Insights and what is there for, we could tattoo on our skin the following 4 specific log traces characteristics. Once they get through the App Insight Halloween pod, they could be retrieved through simple standard API calls requests, as long as whom is performing, of course, do have the appropriate credential to be authorized to get this data out. The second, signals are fully documented on docs.microsoft.com, and they are all pretty actionable one by one. Third point, do not forget that they are fully secure, fully GDPR compliant. This means that no PII, personal information identified, could be nor should be stored within whatever signal. Why I said should? Because the fourth gem, well, shouldn't. Because the fourth gem is that no one and nobody should use the session.log message AL statement in its own extension to be able to send anything than system metadata throughout his own app. Which are then these log traces and what they are keeping track of? This could be divided into 4 main categories: runtime, lifecycle, client, and custom events. RT, LC, CL are the typical prefix that you will find in standard traces, while custom traces do have AL as prefix, plus the one that you might or you would like to add as your own custom event ID. Runtime traces typically keep track of authorization, performance of the application, and incoming, outgoing web service call. In this way, you might keep track of your integration, for example, with Power BI, CDS, Microsoft Teams, or whatever type of web service API integration call that you have in mind. Extension events provide an overview of the full deployment and lifecycle of an extension, while company traces keep track of creation, copy company, deletion of a company. These company-related tasks might have a discrete impact on performance and should be kept under control. Client traces are very particular, and they are sent to App Insight paid views log table, while all the other ones are sent through the traces log tables. Those are kept separated somehow when they get ingested into App Insight. So far, so good. How can we start playing with that? The man would say, all you need is love, but you would definitely say, all you need is an instrumentation key. That is so tremendously easy to be set up. Just create your own App Insight resource in Azure, and automatically you will have your own instrumentation key that tends to play with. There are currently two places where you might add your instrumentation key to enable application sending traces to a specific App Insight resource. First, and highly recommended as a must by Microsoft to everyone, it is in the Tenant Admin Center, as known as TAC. Once you've done this, Dynamics 365 Business Center application will start to send traces all the way through the specified App Insight resource. Please be aware that by the time you configure the instrumentation key in the TAC, it would trigger a restart of the environment. So that please do this during maintenance time slots, most probably previously agreed with your customer, or during the working hours to avoid unwanted users kickoff while they're working. While adding instrumentation key in the Tenant Admin Center will open the Pandora's box to all the signals available and the discrete amount of that ingestion would happen, you could just populate the application insight key parameter in your extension manifest file, as known as app.json, and only the custom signals that has been added to the extension itself will get all the way through the App Insight resources specified in the app.json. Once sending traces to the App Insight resource is enabled within the tag or in the app.json file, logs will be sent through App Insights for monitoring purposes. I've said this so many times now. You could then use a specific query language called KQL, Custo Query Language, to analyze all or specific logs within the App Insights monitoring section. In the same section, you could use and set up alerts and get notified to perform some actions when a specific condition is met throughout the output of specific KQL queries. If you have already had your own tailored set of queries targeted to analyze a specific troubleshooting area, such as, for example, OData calls, company lifecycle events, upgrade events, you could then aggregate them within workbooks or add them into the investigate section in the form of troubleshooting guides. And TSGs is a preview feature today, replacement of the impact tool that you still find in the usage section, the App Insights. But this will remind you back into the workbook section. Within the slide, I've just simply emphasized which are the mostly used App Insight features in order to monitor and analyze Dynamics 365 Business Center log data. We will have a deep overview of this App Insight feature later on during the live demo. No worries. But what if you are a cloud solution provider, as known as CSP, or you don't want to give your skilled consultant access to Azure Portal or the App Insight resources directly? In this connected world, the solution is always to have a door open to the outside country apps. And the key of the solution, the key of your kingdom, is made of three simple words. API, pretty simple. Just create an API key or set of keys and provide read access to the App Insights logs. Give this key to your consultants and they could use them to access these logs from many sources. These are just standard APIs. We will try out also to catch a result throughout a Postman query later on, Postman inquiry through an API. What is the best solution then? Well, hard to say, but I have a free of charge solution. Download and install Azure Data Studio, Python language, and within Azure Data Studio and Python language, deploy KQL Magic package for Python, and you're good to go. Azure Data Studios, oh, everything is for free, of course. Azure Data Studio uses Jupyter notebooks in the same way Application Insights use workbooks, or in a more easy way, as creating TSDs is practically at fingertips. Okay, let's move out from all these conceptual slides and get hands dirty with the demo.
Ciao. Let's start the demo with the grand centralization of information related to Application Insight, that it is aka .ms/bc telemetry samples. And within these GitHub repositories, you will find a lot of useful information together with samples on how to use Application Insight at best. First thing first, you might have a PowerPoint a presentation that you want to use it as a template if you want to showcase Application Insight to your colleagues, to your customer, partners, consultants, whoever they are. Then you have other goodies inside these directories, such as the troubleshooting guides that we will use all of this in during this demos, or you might want to double check some KQL samples, that is custom query language samples used within App Insights to inspect the data that has been ingested, or you can set up some query in order to receive alerts, email, or perform some actions, or you can deploy automatically some dashboard into your own App Insight resources. So now, where do we start? Okay, let's start with creating your App Insight resources. You just have to log into Azure portal, and then in Azure portal, you just have to search for Application Insight, and then simply just click on Add. And then when you're clicking Add, then you will be moved into this page. And within this page, you just have to specify a new resource group, for example, and provide a new name. Maybe you can give it my first App Insight, whatever. Then you can specify a region, and you can use the resource mode in a classic or workspace-based. Once you've done this, you can click on Review and Create, and then it will create the Application Insight resources for you. It might take 1 or 2 minutes to have this deployed, depending on the region where you are. In the end, you will receive your App Insight resources, and you will land into the overview pages. I'm not showing this because of the subscription ID that I would like to keep this secret. But the most important thing is that you will definitely have this instrumentation key. This is actually what you want to use it, and you must use it within Dynamics 365 Business Central, Tenant Admin Center, and or in your extension in the app.json manifest file for your extension. I'm just copying this one, and then we are going back to the Tenant Admin Center. There we are. So how can we define this? So when we are in our environments, for example, this one, it is a sandbox called South Africa, and the Application Insight key has been not set, but I can define one. And then when I'm clicking define, I can click on enable Application Insight and then paste in my instrumentation key. By the time I'm clicking save, what will happen? It is written here, the environment will be restarted, so that please do this during non-working hours or in agreement with your customer, because of this will kick off all the users. And the restart will take not that much depending on the tenant, but it will be something that it is in the time of seconds, maximum minutes, and you are ready to go with sending traces from your Dynamics 365 Business Central tenant into Application Insights. If I'm going back to the environments, I have another ones like the sandbox here, that has been already specified, the application insight key. And this one, it is sending all the way through the traces in my application insights resources. One thing worth noticing is that in the South African sandbox environment, I haven't specified any kind of App Insights key, but I have deployed my own extensions. And this is a very simple extensions based on the classic and almighty hello world, where I have just changed the message with another kind of message that it is called a telemetry message. It is a label that I've called hello telemetry's word. And plus I've added another variable that it is a dictionary of text. This is just to showcase in a very easy way the tree overload that you have it for the session.log message AL statement. When you send a session.log message statement, you have 3 overloads. One, it is made of a dimension, definition and its value, 2 dimensions definition and the relative values, and then in the dictionary you can add how many dimension that you would like. For example, I have added 3 dimension, one called message, one dim2 and custom dim3, and hello telemetries and word are the 3 messages. And then I've added telemetry message dictionary as last element of the signature of the session, parameter of session.log message. And yes, my South African sandboxes where I have deployed these packages through the launch.json will be sent also telemetry only related to the custom telemetry to my App Insight resources. And this is because of in the app.json I have specified the application insight key that it is the same one that we have seen before. So fair enough. Let's say once we have everything, and let's say that all the data has been ingested by the application insight, what can be done with this application insight? So the first things that you would like to check is if you have traces and which are the traces and where those are stored. And then you have to go to the logs. And then go into the logs, then you might see that you have different tables in here. The most relevant one for Dynamics 365 Business Central are traces and page views, right? Okay, then let's see if we have some data, then just typing traces in the Custo query language and then run it. Then you can see that I have some data in the last 24 hours, but I can use in the last 7 days, and then I can run this query. And I can see that I have much more data, 189 items, for example. But I can even specify a time range in my query, and like pipe, where, timestamp greater than ago. And as you can see, the time range is changed to set in query. And 60 days. 60 days, it is the typical retention period for the data inside App Insight resources. So if I'm running this one, as you can see, I have 1,237 items. Wow. As you can see, those are the authorization. Then I have my own telemetry thingy and many of these plus add ones. So there is another places where you want, or another table where you want to inspect. Those are the page views. So if I'm doing like page views, and then in the, instead of last 24 hours, in the last 3 days, for example, then I can run it, and then I can see all my page views. What are the page views? Maybe better 7 days. There are much more data. Yes, there are. So what are the page views? Every time a user is browsing into one page, is moving from one page to another one, this is logged through App Insight, and it is logged into this table. So those are the tables that has been ingested, and roughly speaking, App Insight, it is just a very powerful benchmark to inspect and run queries against this data. This is all about queries, right? So you might save this as your own query, so you can click on save and then give it a name, and then save it as queries. And then you can save it as your own personal queries or shared queries. The shared queries can be reused between more than one application insight resources within the same AAD tenant. and with different notebooks. My query stands with myself and use it only when I just want to perform queries within this application site. For your covariance, as mentioned earlier, within the telemetry samples, let me find this out and just do a step back. Within the telemetry samples, you will have the KQL samples in here. Those are very good starting point if you want to save and store your query and to play with. So back to our application Insight logs. Then I have already prepared this, and in my Query Explorer now, I have my queries stored in here, and one shared query that I'm typically using to set up an alert. So what are these queries? Let's check the authorization field. Once I'm clicking here, then this one, it is placed there. And click in, I can run this one. And sometimes it is not taken up, but most probably I can just make this to run through if I'm just simply click this and then this setting on query, and then this might run without any kind of problem. Yes. So another one can be the available signals, and the available signals are, which are the kind of signals that I might have inside. AL are the custom ones, LC are the life cycle, and RT are the runtimes that you might find inside, right? So let's go back to the authorization field, and then let's click it run, and most probably, yes, that is why it doesn't run, because I have set it 1 hour, and if I'm specifying this 60 days, most probably then running this one, I can see that there has been some authorization failure, and typically because the user does not have the entitlement in Business Central. This is just a simple test that I've done to demonstrate that if a user does not have in Microsoft 365 a license assigned, then this has thrown one of this kind of authorization failed, and this one can be used in the alerts. How can you set up alerts? Well, setting up alerts, it is pretty easy actually. I have just already set up someone, for example, this email alert rule. It is very easy. So I have added this query, that it is the same query that we have seen on the other place, that it is the same query. And once this query is failing, then it has been sent an email to one of the account. And actually, periodically, I'm just receiving this email every time a user that does not have a license assigned is receiving this message. This means that I have to assign this message on Microsoft 365 administration. So let's move forward with this Query Explorer and other useful queries. Another one can be the component update. And if I'm running this component update, then you can see that I'm sending signals from different Dynamics 365 Business Central tenants, and those are the sandboxes, South Africa, and another one that this one, it has not been even exist because it has been expired. It was a text tenant, but the data has been already ingested and stands there for 60 days. Ingestion can be changed, and you can even cap it. I mean, I just want maybe just 50 gigabytes per day, or I just want the retention period to set up instead of the default 60 days to 30 days or 10 days or whatever it is. This common here, it is pretty interesting because this is coming from my own laptop installation. Yes, you can add the application Insight key also for on-premises, and this will be sent through the cloud in the application Insight, and then you can inspect the telemetry of also your own extension that has been deployed on premises, and even telemetries that are coming directly from your on-premises version. What notice is that the sandboxes has been changes the component from 184.543 to 183.52. This is because most probably the application has been silently patched. Okay, this is quite important. Another good one, it might be the browser usage. As you can see, when I'm clicking here, there is a queries history. This is because of I've used this query during the time, and then I've changed it from time to time, and then I have changed it, but maybe I have used it, not changed the default one. So if I'm running this back again, then I'm receiving this in the in the way that I have changed that. So if I'm clicking back into the browser usage, and then I'm just running this back again. Okay, let me go back to the browser usage. Okay, then I have two queries that has been pasted one on the other one. That is pretty fun. So if I'm running the browser usage and in the last 24 hours, okay, then make it set in the query, then I run it. Okay, then I will receive what is my browser users. That is fair enough. But let's see what I can come out with a chart. Oh, well, those data are not suitable to be exported as they are with the chart, but maybe we just need this to summarize this data from this list form into something like summarize by client browser, something like count by client browser. And then if we run this query, then we might have, well, something that it is pretty useful. So I can see that the mostly user is Edge actually, but maybe it is most useful if I'm just even sorting this one, pipe, sort by count, for example. And then I'm just running this one, and then I can sort this. Then if I'm going into the chart, oh, that is pretty cool, and then I can see what it is used. But maybe the best way to see this one, it is my favorite one, it is the pie chart. Then I can see, for example, that Edge is the most used one. Firefox might be a glitch, so that I can even remove it. This is interactive. And then I can see actually what it is effectively using this one. I can do the same things, for example, with page views. With page views, it is very fun. If you want to inspect out what is the usage with a little bit of observability. What it is in the page views, for example, I can use a time range of custom, maybe starting from the 1st of October up to now. And after that, I can, and this is the result. Yeah, okay. Yes, I have quite a lot of item in there. And then I just want to maybe summarize by name. Summarize count by name. And let it run. Oh, I have quite a lot of this. But if I'm going into the chart, then I can see many of these are in that form. And I can even do I can sort by them, sort by count, and then I can run this back again. Those are sorted by the count number, and then within the chart, maybe this one it is better ordered, but maybe the pie chart it is even far better than this one, and then I can see that the business manager role center is the one that it has been mostly used, and then I can focus on the usage of my applications. This comes back to other beautiful features that you might find with App Insight. For example, if you go into the users, and then maybe you can inspect what it is happening in the last 60 days, you might see that those are the users that has been connected into it, but I can have much more insight on this. Then you have some kind of KPIs over here. For example, you can see that you have 35 sessions with 25 participants. Don't look at performance because this is one data that has been added on the average. But if you change this on 5, then you can see that you have an excellent performance. So don't take this as a rule of thumb. So now you have this 35 session and 25 events, and you have this property. So most of the users are coming from Denmark, Italy, and Kingdom. They're using Windows 10, and those are the browser version. I might want to use other properties, such as, for example, city, and then this will tell me, oh, I have most probably the Danish user are just using a browser from Copenhagen, but the one from Italy, that it is me, actually, it is made by 2 locations. This one were taken in October when during the lockdown I moved in the weekend into my hometown, that it is Pesaro, a beautiful city. I recommend you to visit once in the lifetime. And the Busero, it is near Cernusco sul Naviglio, that it is where I'm actually registering this demo now. But let's see, meet your users. What kind of information I can have it? Let's check this user timeline. First thing first, as you can see in the user timeline, this user it is completely anonymized. As we said, one of the pillars of the application insight logs, it is that those does not contain any kind of personal identifier. So this means that it has been completely anonymized. But then I can see that he has something. Oh wow, this user, what kind of activity did? He goes to the business manager center, customer list, then go to product overview, extension management, and then it goes to the marketplace. What kind of action this user did? So let's check at least one of this. Let's check the extension management. Then I'm going in the end-to-end transaction detail of this one, and I have a measure of the time that has been taken, plus all of the details of who is what and all the things that has been done, the duration, the LL object ID that was visiting, etc. It is pretty powerful, right? So let's go back to our application insight, and let's move forward. It's back to the logs, and then we can see much more on this. For example, in the user flows. In the user flows, we can have another overview of the observability of our application. For example, we can select an event in the maybe in 1 month ago where I had maybe much more data inside, and then you can see that those are all the page views, right? Then maybe we can select as initial events the business center, manager role center, and then we can create a graph. Then we will have an observability of what is performed within this time frame. So within the business manager, that's the session starter. This is the starting point, and then most probably I'm just going into the customer list. Then I did something. Then someone is going to the extension marketplace. If I'm clicking here, this is coming from the page search form. The page search form, it has been gone through the customer list, and who's going into the customer list? All the people that are going to business manager role center are going to the customer list and perform all this kind of action from the customer list. This is typically because of when deploying extension, you will leave page 22 by default, and then you just have this hello world message deployed right away. And there's many, many other features that you might want with application insight. But let's say that you have people on the field that don't want to give any kind of access to your own Azure stack. So how can you manage this? Well, the answer is API. So the only things that you have to do is just have to create a key, and then give the key of your application insight kingdom to your own consultant. So the simple things that you can do, you just have to go into API access, and then you just have to create an API. Creating an API is very, very easy, and then you just provide description to the API, such as test live demo, for example, and then you just give read telemetry to this API key. Then you click create generate key, and then you can take this key, right? Copy this one, and then you have to send this one to your consultant together with the application ID. So you have the key and the application ID, and then you can use it with an API. Application Insights provide this API framework or engine out of the box. And there is also this API Explorer that it is very useful if you want to start with. This API Explorer that you want to start with, it is just to test the REST API thingy that it has been sent by default by the application inside. Then the only things that you have to do, you have to go browse to this devappinsight.io API Explorer, then click on Get Events. Then you have to provide the application ID and then the API key. You have to choose the event type, for example, the traces, and then you can select the time span, for example, a period of 15 days, and then retrieve the top 10 of this. And then if you click on Fetch, then this will perform an API call of this type, right? And this is the complete URL that you have it. So HTTPS API.applicationinsight.io, and in the other you just have this API key, and the response, it is this one. So you can use this one, then you just have this JSON as HTTP response back. You can use this for traces, for page views, for example, and then you can fetch this one. So it is nothing more, nothing less than performing this task through Postman, right? Then I have just already prepared this These traces over here, it is very, very easy. You just have to copy the same traces that you have seen it, and you just have to add these two parameters, time span and the top 10, and in the authorization, use API key, X minus API key, and the API key that you have generated. Now, if you send this, as you can see, this is retrieving all this kind of traces. You can do the same things. For example, if you want to change this using the page views, then you just simply change this here, page views, send, boom. Then you got that. See? Then you also have the page view. So as a paradox, but don't do this, but otherwise you will get in trouble with performance. You can send data from Dynamics 365 Business Central into the tables ingested by Application Insights and use the HTTP client calls from Dynamics 365 Business Central to Application Insights tables in order to have this data back and then create your own analysis into Business Central. But that's, again, don't do this just only for playing and playing. Okay, but then why then I'm showing you this API? Because the same things, it has been introduced and used by KQL Magic, that it is using this the API framework that it is built on top of Application Insights. I would say on Azure more. Well, actually it is Application Insights. And it is using this one to perform the queries and return this back the results in the form of tables. And then this can be manipulated also with graphs, with plotting. Okay. So once you have this key, the only thing that you have to do it is just to tell your consultants to deploy one simple tool that you can download for free. That it is called Azure. Okay, let me move this just a little bit. That it is called Azure Data Studio, sorry. That is called Azure Data Studio, and within here you can get Data Azure Studio for Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. And Azure Data Studio has a lot of documentation on how to start and use custom queries, right? And after this one, you can also install Python from the official official download site. And when you will install Azure Data Studio, you will have Jupyter notebooks out of the box deployed. And this will be very useful to use this within the notebooks that are used in the Azure Data Studio. Now, let's say that you have already deployed Azure Data Studio in your environment, but Azure Data Studio, what is that for? And what is this used for? Well, the main things that you might want to use it is to inspect your data into SQL servers that either can be on a SQL server hosted locally, or it can be in Azure. So this one, for example, it has been connected to my local environment, and it is the same things as using SQL Server Management Studios. It should load up in just a few seconds, and you will recognize that there are not that many differences between this one and the other one. So this is the same thing. So Azure Data Studio, it is a tool that it is intended for a persona called data scientist, and you can perform queries using this kernel or using different kernels. One it is a SQL Server kernel, the other one can be Python, or you can use R language, etc. Another thing that you might notice it is that it is built in as spin-off of Visual Studio Code, and it has many of the features such as the extensibility that has been provided with Visual Studio Code. It is not Visual Studio Code, it is Azure Data Studio, but it is built in with the same kernel. So the first thing that you might want naturally to do it is just create a query. Just click on Run Query or File, New Query, and then you just simply have to connect to one sources. For example, I'm connecting on my local machine, local environment. I'm connecting to my SQL 2017 instances, and then I can start selecting the table database, NAV 17.0, and then I can start querying the database. Select star from company table, and then run executing. Then I have the output, right? The output can be also sent to CSV in Excel or JSON file or as XML file. So fair enough. That this is just something that you might want to use it as a query. Now, just another brick in the in building our wall of knowledge. It is that okay, but let's make this a little bit more proficient. Let's use it in notebooks. So if I'm clicking here, then I just can create a new notebook. Then I will have my notebook. So how this notebook is made of. So this notebook, it is made of a text part and a code part. So let's start with a text cell, and within the text cell I can start typing, hey, this query is to retrieve all the charts from BC on-prem. Then I can add another text cell, or I can edit this cell. Then I can add the code cell based on this kernel, that it is SQL kernel, right? Then I can add a query like, for example, select. Well, then I have to select a connection, of course, change the connection, but it was already connected, and this is my connection. And then I can use demo database 17.0 go, and then select star from chart, and then I can execute this one, right? And then I have this result. I can clear results, and then I can have much more than this line. So I can add the cell down to this. So add another co-cell before or after, doesn't matter. So I can start right now something like, hey, sp underscore woo, and then execute, and then I have the results of sp woo, and down there will be the results of this one. I can just simply clear the results, and then I can click on run all, and then everything will be run this. That's the beauty of the notebook, because every time you have this notebook, save it, because you can save this notebook as a file. So file, save. Once this one, it is saved down there, then you can reuse it and reuse it. And every time you can run it, then this is dynamically updated, right? Now let's move on forward. We said that we can use different kernel, right? Then let's create another notebook, like, so another notebook, new notebook, and within this notebook, let's create a code cell. And this code cell, maybe it is connected to another kernel. It is connected to a Python 3 kernel, okay? And of course, you just have to install Python from the official language before. And now this is bounded to the Python 3 kernel, right? Now I can just start typing in Python. So in Python, if I want to print something, I can just write this like print chow from Python, and then execute, and then this is actually executed from this one. I can even use variables, something before chow from Python. And this is just pure Python code, something like chow equal chow from Python, and change the string with underscore chow. It does have, yes, it does have IntelliSense. And of course, it is also, you know, that one. Yep. And then if I'm executing, then I have receiving the same thing. Good. So we can create this notebook in here, right? Now, what if within this notebook, we have a tool to connect through an API key to our application Insight repositories, or storage of data, or ingestion of data that are called logs. We know it now, of type page views and traces. And yes, we have this kind of tool. This tool, it is called KQL Magic. And you can install this tool by clicking on top right in here, and you have this manage packages, and then you can click add new. And you can search for PIP, that it is Python Intelligent Packages, and then you have to install it. It is very easy. Very easy to install, and you will find the documentation to install it. It is just the next, very easy. It is taking 5 seconds. I have already installed the KQL Magic, and it is here. CD JKKKK KQL Magic. There it is. Every time I'm just searching this through this one, I find it very boring. So I'm closing this one, and if I want to find something, I'm using Python. So if you want to launch a command line from Python, then you can use just %pip and then list, and then you can see that you will receive the same result, right? That's the list of the installed packages. But I would prefer to comment this out with a pound sign, right? And then there is a much easier way to search for the KQL magic. If this one it is installed, pip search and KQL magic. And if I'm running this one, then it will search and it will find that this one is installed and it is the latest one. But I can even use not the PIP, but I can simply use help, that is one of the function within Python, KQL magic, and run it, and then it will take out all of the information about this kind of package. As you can see, it is still executing, and in a few seconds it will show me that the name package it has been installed, and this package has been this version installed and deployed over this one. Okay, this means that now I can use this one and use KQL to connect to App Insight and retrieve the information that I need. The best way to do this, let me close some of this window in here. It is through TSGs. Okay, let's go back one step to one of these these links that you have it in here. In App Insights, you have troubleshooting guides. Those are coming out of the box, but you can create your own. So let's start with the ones that you have it out of the box. I have already deployed this, and I've just opened a folder within the notebooks, and you can see I have several ones, plus I've created my own ones. Let's check the one within the extension, and now those are 4. So the first things that it does, we can execute this. We know it already one by one, or we can press run all. So what it does, this one, it is when I'm clicking this one, it will reload the KQL magic. When the KQL magic it is reloaded, then you will see this Azure a summary of the KQL language, and then a button with what you, and then you have this very important part. We are running this command line of KQL, and we are using App Insight, App ID, and App Key. If we go back, they should ring some bell, because if we go back to the API Explorer, the application ID and the API key, those are the same one that we've used here and the same one that we've used here in Postman. This is the application ID, and this is the key that we have used, right? So let's go back once again in here. And then if we run this, it is connecting to the application insights. And once it is connected, it will get back the schema. And the schema, okay, I should have a schema of this. And I have a schema. What is the schema? The schema is telling me that I have page views and then traces. This is the schema of the tables that we have it with App Insight. Let me go in here. And the schema, it is the same one that you can see in the logs, right? This is the schema, the metadata you can see for all those tables, page views, traces, and all of the other ones. Okay, now the last part, it is to define filters. In this case, I have just said, sorry, a filter on the tenant ID, on the environment name, plus a time range. So this is very easy to be executed, and now I can execute the other queries. I can run all of this, and then this will be execute everything one by one, and I will have back my own results. And within my own results, I could see that, for example, I have several extensions in lifecycle. Several of those are 6, and 9 have been synchronized successfully. 6 has been installed successfully, and unpublished 1, and 1 it is failing to synchronize. That is one that has been failed to synchronize. And then I can search for the one that has been failed to synchronize, and add it to my troubleshooting guide. Other good ones might be the login issues. Okay, so let's close the extension, and then If I'm running all, then it will run everything. And this login issue might tell me which are my logins, and then will provide me with a very good graph in the same way that we have it with the session from App Insights, and the same session that you might see in the dashboard or the App Insight as well. And then once this design is going through, I can just check if there are successful again, or if there are unsuccessful again, and why there have been unsuccessful again. For example, you might see then those are all the successful again that I have it. I can use just this one just to focus on specific events, and then I can rescale, auto scale this one. The beauty of this one is that, okay, I don't need this anymore to analyze this kind of thing. I just need a much more complex way to analyze these logs, and so that maybe it is better that I send this maybe into Excel. This is not as easy. This is maybe much more easy than drinking a glass of water or as 1, 2, 3. But if you click, for example, in this tabular export, then you can click Save as Excel, and then you just give a name to your Save as Excel and save it. Replace it, yes, and without exiting from Azure Data Studio, you can open the Excel file, and from this one you can continue, then applying filters, and then you can do whatever you like, company name, and then you can only see the ones from Kronos, DE, and that's all. You can just do this kind of all of this. One very important thing is that you can create your own extension. I have created one on top of the extension one. So I've just copied the custom extension one, then I've changed it. I've changed it, I'll call it this. As you can see, I can change the text, and then I can add it maybe something like in here. So I have to click edit, of course, and then something like powered by Duilio Tacconi. Revision it, then I can say 11 October, November 2020. During lockdown. Okay, and then this one, it is automatically save it on the other side. Well, this is auto save it because I have specified how to save like I do in Visual Studio Code. So this one, it is automatically save it. And then the same things, I'm connecting, I'm reloading Kpis Magic. Then I'm connecting to App Insights, right? And then I've defined my filters. So I'm just connecting this environment name to the environment ID. That's the environment name, and this is my extension ID. So within this extension ID, this is only the extension that I've deployed. Just to give you briefly, that's the extension that I was meaning, right? So, and then from within this period, I should receive, and then right now, if I'm clicking run all, I'm only receiving all the telemetry message that has been sent, that has the prefix AL and has been added to my extensions. So as a result, I have everything. See this log message, and log message, this is the one that has been sent all over to my sandboxes. Actually, I'm filtering on sandbox DE, but there should be now also something also in other environment name, like the one from, for example, let me change this one. For example, there might be other ones in the other events, in the other environment name that it is called the South Africa. So we can inspect the South Africa one, South Africa, and then we can, okay, this one, it is saved, and then I can rerun everything. And then it will go back, and then most probably will take only the ones from South Africa. Let's see if I have something in there. I have just no data has been pulled through this yet. So let me go back to the previous environment name. And then run this back again. So I can show you one thing that is useful. And at a certain point, I have changed the message that I have it in here from hello world to hello telemetry voice, and I have redeployed this, right? Then when this is happening, well, I can see that there is this one, the message, it is different. And then this is happening in here, catching up all the telemetries. And then I can see this is happening on 14.33. The latest one was 25. So 14.33, it is the bus that is ringing on my head. So let's check how it is the extensions life cycle. So if we go back, it is 14.33 in the extension life cycle. I can see that one, it has been uninstalled successfully. But what is the one that has been uninstalled successfully? The one that has been uninstalled successfully is this one. It has been installed at 34, right? So this one, it has been uninstalled successfully. And the other one, it has been installed at 35 successfully. This means that the first email can come in was from the new one. So the one that has been uninstalled was the previous one. And it was done at 13.32. Then the new one was coming, kicked in at the 33 and published it successfully. And then I have all the messages that are running through.